Welcome back to the kitchen. It's Dana with Calfee Cattle, and it is supper time on the Calfee Ranch. So I'm going to get started with another recipe tonight. This may or may not be something you've heard about before. So what we call it here is hot hamburgers. So I'm not even quite sure if it's just an Alabama thing or a South or a Southern thing. I think it may be even a Chilton County thing. Somebody coined that term. So, and you might be, thinking to yourself, well, isn't all hamburgers hot? And they are, but what this is it's a hamburger patty or similar to a hamburger steak with gravy, cheese, and onions on a piece of bread. We use hamburger buns, and it's eaten open face. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up some onions, go ahead and get my meat patted out, and get it all seasoned up, and we'll walk through it. Y'all come on. Okay. So I've got my meat patted out. So I'm going to show you my seasons. I just use salt, pepper, my pepper, and I got some onion powder. I always like that, and some Lowry seasoning salt. I just sprinkle that on everything pretty generously. I love seasonings. Not afraid to use them. You can always share back anything that you use on in your recipes. And like I said, this may not be familiar, the actual name to everybody, but if you ask someone in Chilton County for a hot hamburger or order it in a restaurant, they'll know what you're talking about. Now, if you go anywhere north or south of here, or especially out of Alabama or out of this vicinity, they're going to probably look at you pretty strange and wonder if you, ooh, that's a little much, if you've lost your mind. But that one got a little bit of too much onion powder, so we're going to rake it around there and try to daub it on some others, but that's okay. We like onions. So my pan is good and hot, so I'm going to get my meat and put it in there. Now you can grill these burgers, grill the patties. Sometimes I do both. One night I may grill, the other night I might pan or skillet fry, but I'm not going to crowd my pan. I'm going to just cook 3 of these at a time. There's 6 patties altogether. Just kind of let those sit in here for a few minutes. And while I'm doing that, or letting those cook, I'm going to go ahead and cut my onion up. And we love chopped onions on ours, sauteed onions. So I'll do a little butter and some Worcestershire or some Dale sauce in there. So we'll get that started too. All right, so I've got my onion cut up. And I'm going to go ahead and put I just got a stick of butter, if I can get it open. Go ahead and cut me a little bit of that up and put it in the pan, let it melt. Got that on. I'm going to throw the onion in there. And I just put up a whole onion, just cut it in big chunks, kind of. Some people like them diced. And you can saute your onions as soft as you like. I put mine in here. Sometimes they get a little softer than we actually prefer them to, but that's just simply because I get busy and sidetracked and I forget to take them off the stove eye. So that's just my fault. But I'll go ahead and let those start sauteing, and wow, that is burning my eyes. The hamburger meat's looking good here. I've already flipped it one time. One's kind of trying to fall apart on me, but that's all right. It'll cook up and eat the same, whether it's whole or apart. Well, I'm waiting on those patties to finish cooking. I was going to turn my camera around and show you something. So I'm not the best baker in the world as far as candies or pies and cakes and things like that. Most of mine is good, hearty, wholesome food. Anything to do with meat or vegetables. But let me show you a little something. So this is not peanut, but pecan brittle. So I've spread it out. I've still got to let it harden and then break it up, obviously. We've got our annual Cattlemen's Association dinner this week, and we have been asked to bring cakes or pies or something like that just to auction off, or goodie basket, anything to auction off to raise money for the younger Cattlemen's Association. So this is going to be my contribution to that. So it's looking pretty yummy. So I just took up the first set of beef patties. I'm going to go ahead and put the other 3 in. Oh, that's hot. And let those go ahead and cook. And while I'm doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about the gravy. That's what really makes the hot hamburger, is the gravy. So it's going to be a brown gravy. We don't use packet gravy, instant gravy around here. I cook all of mine, whether it be white gravy, brown gravy, tomato gravy, any of that. I make homemade. That is, like I said, with the brittle back here. I'm not a great baker, but I do pride myself in cooking hearty food and things like meals and gravies and things like that. So, but I will show that to you in just a minute. What I do is when I get finished cooking my burgers in the pan, or my hamburger meat, what I'll do is I'll take that out and use some of the grease that's drained out in the pan and kind of scrape out all those little bits of meat that maybe have stuck to the pan, and then make a roux. And I'll show you all this in a minute. And I've got my beef broth ready and sitting out. And as soon as my onions get done, I'll go ahead and move them out of the way. So while I'm making the gravy, I will double task and go ahead and get my French fries on. So a lot of times I like to make homemade French fries, but tonight is just not one of those nights. We got a little bit of a late start. But if you want to make homemade fries, just get any type of potato will work. I use russet potatoes most of the time. Just slice them up to the size that you need. Now I wash mine, rinse them really well. I'll actually put them in some water and let them soak and let all the starch get out of them. And then rinse them, pat them dry, and then fry them in oil as you see fit, so until they're golden brown. So if you want to do that, that's great. It takes a little bit of time, but a lot of times cooking is a labor of love, and I enjoy doing it. But sometimes, like nights like this, those bag of French fries from the grocery store work just fine. So these patties are about ready to be flipped over. And while my onions finished cooking there, I'm actually going to put a little bit of Dale sauce. If I can get it turned around, sorry. A little Dale seasoning. Now this may or may not be everywhere in every store, but I also like to use a little Worcestershire sauce and pour just a little bit of it in there, not much. The Dale seasoning is a little salty, or can be, so it don't need very much at all. I'm going to go ahead and flip these hamburger patties, and I've got my grease on the back heating up for my French fries. So I'll flip the meat over, so that's what it looks like. You don't want to cook it too fast or it won't get done in the middle, but these are looking really nice. Of course, this is our own homegrown meat. I know on our YouTube channel I've mentioned before, but we raise cattle, obviously, and we raise hogs. And so we always obviously keep some out for our own fresh meat, and we sell it fresh by the quarter, half, or whole. So if you're ever interested in that, actually making a purchase there, we can actually hook you up. So reach out to me. My contact information is on our Facebook page at Calfee Cattle also, so you can find me there. But let's go ahead and throw these fries in. One little handy dandy tip that I have is I had a pan just like this, and I covered it with foil that I patted my hamburger meat out on. And so I didn't get that pan dirty. I just threw the foil away. So I did the same thing for my French fries. I'm going to just put a few paper towels down to drain them on. I'll put those in the oven at around 200 degrees just to keep them warm or hold them warm until we're ready to eat. So just a little handy tip. I love to cook. I don't like to clean up. So I got my French fries done. So I'm going to take these, and like I said, I just put them in the oven to hold them warm for a little bit until we get ready to eat. All right, so basically got everything else done. I still got one small batch of French fries cooking, but I'm gonna go ahead and start on the gravy. So what I've done is I've got the grease is in the pan here, and I'm gonna take my spatula that I used on my burgers and kind of scrape this up. And what it does is it loosens up all those little tidbits of charred meat that are in the bottom of the pan, and that makes the gravy so good. So this, I think, maybe a little bit too much grease in the pan to start with, so I'm going to pause for just a minute and dump some of this out, but I want to leave all those little bits in there. All right, so next up is flour. So I'm just going to take, and please don't ask me to tell you measurements because I don't know. I just eyeball some of this. I'm going to grab a whisk, and I'll kind of show you what this looks like. Let me get my camera turned around. So this is what it looks like right here. So that's the amount of grease I had in the pan. And you want to put your flour in there and stir it around and make what they call a roux. So I don't have near as much flour as what I need right now, so we'll add a little bit more of it. So just kind of an eyeball and keep going, because you want your roux to be not too thick, but almost like a paste consistency. I haven't even got my stove on yet, so I want to get this kind of mixed up first where I want it, and then we'll actually turn it on and start letting it cook. So this is what it looks like here. Like I said, just a nice little paste consistency, not too thick, but it is a lot thicker than what it was. So what I'll do is actually cook this for about at least 2 minutes. You want your stove on, or your heat, at least on probably about medium low, because you want to cook the flour so it doesn't taste like flour, so your gravy doesn't taste like flour, but you don't want it to get too brown. Now, personally, I like light brown gravy instead of dark brown, and really the only difference is how long that flour is cooked. So, like I said, we'll go ahead and let this cook for about 2 minutes. So it's been at least 2 minutes, probably a little over that because I had to get my French fries out because they got done. But I'm going to go ahead and pour in my broth. I'll open it up and pour that in. Let me get my phone turned around so I can have two hands. You can use whatever name brand of broth you want, or you can make your own. Homemade broth is really good. It's a lot better for you. Again, sometimes I just have to use what I got. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in there. And when you pour, your gravy is going to thicken up really quick. And again, I turn my heat down kind of low. But I'm going to just continue to pour that broth in there. And stir, stir, stir until it gets the consistency that I like. Stir that up for just a minute. Like I said, it thickens up really quickly, so make sure you turn on your heat so it doesn't scorch. And also, I had quite a bit of flour in there, so we eat quite a bit of gravy with ours. My whole family loves this. Is actually their favorite dish. Actually, the whole reason why I was making this tonight is our oldest daughter is going on our church youth trip to Tennessee to a conference called Strength to Stand this weekend. And so this is one of her favorite recipes, and she wanted this before she left. So tomorrow night we eat at church, and then Thursday night, I had mentioned before, we've got our cattleman's dinner. So she leaves Friday morning bright and early. So this is the last day I had to cook it for. So kudos to me. Surely I'll get good brownie points for mama points for that, right? All right, so this is what it should look like. Like I said, it'll continue to thicken up. So if it does get like too thin, just don't worry. It's okay. It'll thicken up. And you can, if it doesn't thicken up, if you just added way too much liquid, you can add just a little more flour at a time and just let it kind of cook, because I don't like my gravy to taste like raw flour. And I will add just a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and add my pepper in. I don't really add a lot of salt in the gravy, just simply because when my hamburger meat was cooked in there, they already had all those seasonings on there. But I will add just a little bit of Dale seasoning sauce again. And again, you can add Worcestershire. You don't have to add any of that at all if you don't want to, but this is just the way I make our gravy, and we all think it's divine, so just like it. Let that sit, and then we'll get it all finished up. All right, this is the shining moment right here. So I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. I'm actually going to show you how to plate this. Let me grab me a piece of meat out of the oven. So to show you first, I've just got, like I said, we use hamburger buns, so I just got a piece of the bun, half of it. No matter, top, bottom, whatever you prefer. I'm going to take a piece of meat, put it on my bun. Then I'm going to grab a piece of cheese out of the refrigerator here. Didn't already have that out. I should have. I'm going to open me up just some good sliced American cheese. Lay that on top. Now you can either do gravy or onions next. Now I like doing my gravy next. We'll take it and just smother that on there. Get it all over so the cheese melts really good. Yummy. And then take some of these onions. I cut them on again just to heat them back up, and dump some of those out on top. Oh my goodness. Wish y'all had smell-o-vision. That is fantastic. I'll turn my camera around and get you a shot from above so you can see. There she is. Great piece of hamburger meat with all the piping hot gravy and onions sitting on top of that half a hamburger bun. Awesomeness right there on a plate. Y'all let me know how you like this. And again, it's called a hot hamburger. I'll put it in the title of the YouTube video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It just helps us keep putting out videos if you like them. So God bless.